Welcome back to the Reseller Journey Podcast. And in this episode, we have Josh Galt, a seasoned eBay reseller, here to kind of give us some ideas as to what in the heck is going on with eBay. So, welcome, Josh. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me on, Bo.
Yeah, appreciate it. So, I just want to jump right into it. What is your kind of theory as to why eBay might be going through a different season in some of the problems you may be experiencing?
Okay. I've got a few things here. So I think that, first of all, the first thing I want to say, and feel free to cut me off wherever, and welcome to all the viewers. But here we go. I don't think everything is eBay's fault. So there are some macro things going on in the economy right now that eBay can't control. One of them is higher interest rates. This is happening, and it's hurting our consumer because they're spending more on their debt, and they don't have as much expendable income. So there's that. On top of that, you have higher inflation. So everything our consumer spends their money on is getting more expensive, including staples. So their groceries are more, their gas is more, electricity, everything is more expensive. So we have to see those macro events and see that, yes, our consumer is hurting right now, and there's nothing eBay can do about that. That's a trend that I think every single platform is experiencing. So let me put that out there. There's another thing that is not eBay's fault, and that we are in summer slowdown. It is a bit slower this summer, but that happens every single year. If you talk to some of the bigger eBayers, and I don't consider myself one of them, but I thank you for that introduction. It was very kind of you. If we talk to some of the bigger eBay sellers, they say, yes, there's a little bit of reversion to the mean happening. We had the pandemic. We had people trapped buying things online. Now we're reverting to the mean a little bit, and it's summer slowdown. And then those two factors are a problem. Now, those two things do not, in my opinion, absolve eBay from the issues that are on the platform right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you want me to jump right in, or you want to jump in on that?
No, yeah,
Okay.
I agree. I as well, I have 9,800 items in my store, and yeah, I'm experiencing
all those
errors
things and seeing all those things in the macro economy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then there's two issues that I see on eBay. So we'll divert it into two. The very first one on this side is the buy side. One of the issues that I am noticing that has been going on for a long time and hasn't been fixed is that when you search on eBay, and this may be a regional thing and maybe not everybody is experiencing this, but they're showing international items first, or items are not showing up. For example, if I put snooker balls up, sometimes when I'm doing my research and I look for snooker balls, none come up. However, when I go onto the Google search engine, eBay items will come up in the Google search engine. I click on it. Then I see a listed item. And on top of that, I see all these recommended items that are the exact same thing. So what is the issue with the search algorithm that it's not showing a seller's items? And the reason, in my opinion, this is a big deal is because most of your buyers, you want to capture them and complete the sale in the time that it takes for them to wait for the red light to go to green, right? Maybe they're sitting at a red light, they're looking at their app, they're thinking about something, they want to buy it. You want to get that sale very, very quickly, because the buyer's attention span is like the length of a goldfish's attention span. You want to capture, make the sale, and move on.
Yeah.
So that to me is a big, big issue, is that the items aren't showing up. When the items do show up, and the buyer goes into someone's listing, makes the purchase, and as soon as the sale is completed, they're showing other promoted items. Some of those promoted items are going to be cheaper. Again, this is a problem because eBay has already completed the sale. So the buyer's going to move on. If they can get something cheaper, some buyers will. So they'll click to the next listing. They'll want to buy it, but first they got to cancel the sale with you. They cancel the sale with you. You don't respond right away. Maybe it takes 8 hours. Now maybe this buyer's changed their mind and they don't want to buy it all. So again, they have the sale. That's the hard part, is getting the sale. The buyer wants the item, sale captured, and they move the sale to someone else. I think it's a big mistake. Do you know what I'm talking about with those promoted listings? It's an issue with a lot of sellers are having right now. What's your take on that?
Yeah, issue with me is I've had buyers come and ask, "Hey, I have items in my cart, but I can't make offers on them. How do I combine shipping?" And I'm just
Yes.
like, well, I've never had that happen before, like ever in 2.5 years. But I've had 2 messages in the last 2 months, where people are like, I can't check out. Like
Yes.
I don't want to pay $8.95 on 6 items each shipping. So
Yes.
that's strange.
And they don't know, right? They don't know about, even if you have combined offers, if eBay is not showing that to them or automatically creating that calculation for them, then the buyer's just going to move on. You know what? I'm not going to pay. I'll delete the app and I'll move on. So I think Bo's frozen, but I'm
Yep.
going to keep going.
Okay, I'm
Yeah, you're
back.
good. Okay,
Oh,
you're good.
okay. But
Okay, so
yeah.
yeah, and that to me is in the buy side, and the way I kind of frame that is, imagine Costco and all the money they spend and time they spend on building the infrastructure, and they're selling sausages. They don't allow a sausage vendor to sit outside their sign that they're promoting their sausages for in the parking lot and sell them for 50 cents cheaper. If they did, then the buyers would just some of them would buy the sausages from the vendor in the parking lot, but that vendor didn't do any of the hard work. If you're selling a lady's jacket, I can literally copy your listing verbatim,
Mm-hmm.
sell it for 50 cents cheaper, and promote it at a higher rate. Now you put all the work into it, you got the sale, everything, and I'm kind of like the lamprey on a shark, and I just swoop in and take the sale from you. I think that, as far as eBay is concerned, now that pisses us off, but as far as eBay is concerned, I think overall that will lower revenues from them, even if they're rating, and we can get into the promoted rates. So that's a whole other story. I could go on
Mm-hmm.
for an hour about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think eBay questioning the buyer as to whether or not they made the right sale is a huge problem on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the buy side issues I see.
Yeah. Yeah. Just that example I brought up earlier. And also too, like not being able to find my own items in my store
Right.
is like, because
Exactly.
I think like, oh, did I not list this? Oh no, it's just an
It's
error
just
on
not there. Yeah, it's just not there. And I think these perennial, I want to get into the sell side issues. I'll wait till you fuzz back in. Bo's having trouble with his internet. He's out in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. So if you can hear me and we're not frozen, I'll just keep chatting away. I should watch this live to make sure that we're still going. We frozen, Bo? Let us know in the comments. Are we frozen? We're still going? Okay. Bo's frozen. I'm still going. Okay. Let me get into the sell side part of this. Now, if you're a seller on the platform, a full-time seller, nobody knows the issues better than the sellers. James is one of the best when it comes to sussing this out. So check out his channel, My Boring
E.
Reseller Life, just to plug him.
Yep.
But we're on the site 12, 14, 16, 18 hours a day, checking comps, listing items. So we know functionally how the site works better than everyone. In the past 3 years, I feel as though I have to be an expert computer programmer in order to navigate my way around the site. Now, eBay is a product of Silicon Valley. Their motto is move fast and break things. So they've been making all these changes, but us as businesses, we have not had the opportunity to adjust to these changes. They've rolled out multiple promoted listings options. They've rolled out new international shipping 2 or 3 times, from GSP to EIS to the new EIS. They have changed the way in which payments are made. They've changed the way in which items are shown, user interface, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And what happens is your lower tier of sellers, or I don't want to call them lower tier, but you have a tier of sellers that is unable to adjust to the changes because things are switching so quickly. And at the end of the day, eBay's users are not the buyers. They are the sellers, because we are eBay's customers. We pay them money, and then we get our own customers off the site.
Yep.
So they're spending a lot of time not only changing things, and I'm going to give you the reason why I think this is, changing all these things, but they're pissing their users off. And we talked a little bit about this before the show. You have their users, their customers saying, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. eBay, if eBay were a corporation that I had to work for and I was an employee, I would be long gone already. I would not put up with this. But since we're running our own businesses, we don't really have a choice. We kind of have to roll with the punches. So, and I'll tell you why I think that is, but I'll let you jump in for a second. And what do you have to say regarding
Yeah. Well, sorry for the internet issues, but
No worries.
I have heard, yes. That's so true that eBay's customers aren't the buyers, they're us.
Yeah,
because we pay the fees. We
exactly.
pay the suggested promoted fees. The one thing I wanted to touch on was, I remember the suggested promoted fee used to be 6, 8% for most used clothing. Now it's 12, 15%. What do you
Yes.
think is going on there? And is that eBay's push to now start focusing more on charging us sellers more? Because their competition also, Poshmark's expensive to sell on.
Okay.
eBay has some wiggle room there.
So let me back up for a second, and I'll get into that. You might have to remind me because my memory itself goes all over the place, especially when I get excited. So backing up and looking at the big picture, eBay's revenues have stagnated for the past 5 or 6 or 7 years. They're basically more or less, with like a standard of deviation or two, they're reporting the same revenues year over year over year. So what they've tried to do on their own is build a revenue model within the platform. And they do this by, at one point, make your title bold, and we'll charge an extra $2. Cross this to another country, we charge a little bit extra money. So they tried to do it themselves to generate revenue, and almost everything they tried failed. So I read a paper from 2019, and I don't remember the company, the consulting firm, but it was from eBay, and they hired a consulting firm. I think it was Bain, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Somebody fact check me. And what that company does is it tries to maximize the revenue model. So I think Bain's consultants, who are very good at this, they're like a top consulting firm. They said you have to build these revenue models, and here's how you typically do it. So what they're doing is the easy thing. Rather than milking the cow, which is us, their customers, twice a day, they're milking us 3 times at lunch, then another couple times at dinner. They're waking us up in the middle of the night, milking us one more time. So I think everybody had to adjust to that. And of course, just like how prices in an oversupplied market are a race to the bottom, promoted listings, when your sellers are desperate for sales, are a race to the top. So you know what? Maybe I'm willing to do 10%. And then Bo says, well, I'm not getting any sales, I'll do 12. Then I notice I'm not getting sales, I'll do 14. And you just kind of keep going higher and higher and higher. And then in the dynamic promoted listing, if you don't have a cap rate there, you'll just keep going to the moon until no one can stomach it anymore. So I think that's what's going on. And then if you look at the last quarter earnings, eBay's reporting most of their, not most of their revenues, but most of their revenue increase is coming from promoted listings. Basically, we're pulling more for our own users. And I don't want to just stop there. That's one thing. And as businesses, the rules keep changing, and we say, okay, we can do that. However, if you're milking the cow 7, 8, 12, 20 times a day, and then you stop feeding it, which is what's happening because we're having all these glitches on the platform, there's only so much we can handle. And I can say with my own business, when I was selling 30, 40, 50 a day right up until March, and now I'm lucky if I get 10, and I'm running a big store. I have 14,000 items. There's $1 million in inventory. You have to question what's going on. And I think that goes back to the buy-side glitches that we've been seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been on the platform for not very long, about 2.5 years, but I do remember when I first started, there was nothing like this going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Like,
I mean,
no, yeah.
sure, going back further in history, the platform, in my opinion, was worse. I've been on eBay a long time, but not a full-time seller for that long. But going back in time, you used to have to wait for money orders and cash, and they didn't send enough cash, and the dispute process was wonky. And I mean, there was a lot going on. There was a lot of scams, a lot of stuff like that happening. So it was difficult, but anything you listed sold, and it sold almost immediately. It was new. It was untarnished at that point. But yeah, at this point, it looks to me now 2 things could be happening. Oh, this is a great point. 2 things could be happening. Either they're sucking us dry as far as the fees and everything are concerned, so that they can roll out their new international shipping program and get market capture overseas. If they're doing that, then all is forgiven, right? We'll do our best to survive. We're not happy about it, but all is forgiven because at the end of the day, we're going to increase our market reach. I'm okay with that. However, if they're just doing this to be greedy and they don't know what they're doing, and this whole EIS thing rolls out and turns to be a failure because they don't manage it properly, then that's a whole other story. That's a scary scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the things that you're doing now in your business to are you pivoting, or what's your strategy for combating this if it continues?
Okay. So when this first happened to me, and I'm going to say this was in March, my first pivot was the macro pivot. I looked at my consumers across the board. We started seeing interest rates go up. We see
Yeah.
consumer spending going down, debt going up, credit card debt, everything else. And I looked at the consumer segment that is still doing well. And for me, that was people that are 40 and older, right?
Hmm.
When you're younger, all your costs are front loaded. Buy a house, marriage, kids, car, student loans, all this other stuff. So I pivoted because I noticed that my younger buyers weren't buying as much. The second thing I did is I chased a higher ASP.
Hmm.
It used to be for me that if I could get it, I would list it. Look at me go. I can do 50, 60, 70 a day. Now I'm a little bit more careful. So I'm watching my spend. I'm not spending as much money. And the stuff that I'm getting is a higher ASP. And for your viewers, that's average sales price,
Hmm.
so that the profit increases. So that was one of my pivots, is really to watch spend. I am on a 3-year kind of growth metric. And just so everyone knows, my growth is good. I'm 65% up year over year. And that's starting from scale. So I'm not complaining, but it is part of my model to front load the growth. And then as
Hmm.
growth levels off, take it from there and continue this model. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Now, if I see growth fall, which I haven't so far, but if I see growth fall, I'll
Yeah.
do what others are doing. I'll pivot onto other platforms, whatever it takes. I'll stand out in my driveway and with a sign, because I have no plan B. I'm going
Yeah.
for this. I risked everything and I'm going for it.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point with much skin in the game that you have, all the time you've put into building this, you're not just gonna throw in the towel, right?
And
Um,
you and
mhm,
you and we enjoy
mhm,
this, right?
mhm.
And you. I mean,
Absolutely.
look at behind you, the racks. This is not a green screen. This is your stuff back there.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
stuff we've been working about 2.5 years, 40 hours a week, sourcing,
Yeah. At least
listing.
40 hours a week. And then you do the podcast, right? And then you're
Mhm,
building partnerships and relationships and chasing
mhm.
things down. And then I know you have a big family,
Yes.
right? It all
Big
it
growing
all adds
family.
up. It's all
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah, 100%, and, that's why I wanted to have you on because, whether small seller or big seller, we're all in this together, and we need to figure out what is the best ways that we can strategize that can work for an individual that can
Yes.
really, see growth, see good
Well,
opportunity to work from home, to provide a living, and to continue to resell. Um,
at the end of the day, you and I are competitors. So
Absolutely, yeah.
we're competing for customers, but in my opinion, the market is big enough that there's
Yeah.
room for all of us, right? You're in
Yeah.
a different niche, I'm in a different niche, and
Mhm.
I think, yeah, having these conversations can be beneficial to everyone. But
Mhm.
even now, like us talking, we're we're stealing from each other a little bit, right? I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm logging things in my head so that, hey, what's Bo doing? Maybe you're thinking the same for me.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, this market is huge. There
Yeah.
could be, if they get this EIS thing, and I was speaking to the vice president rolling this out, Jeff Frick. The
Mhm.
guy's really intelligent. He really knows what I'm doing or what he's doing.
Mhm.
And he was heading the GSP program before. He's a pretty smart
M'kay.
guy. And if he can achieve what he wants to do, then e-commerce growth on eBay is going to be fantastic for the next 5-10 years. There's billions of people out there that eBay wants to introduce to the platform. I think I'm just apprehensive based on what I've seen over the past 2 or 3 years that it can be done, but I really hope so.
Yeah, the crazy stat, somewhat e-commerce related, but a third of the world doesn't even have access to internet yet.
Sure,
So,
sure,
the
sure.
growth is
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So,
And
opportunity.
when you travel, I mean, certain countries, they've got a little bit of a negative view
Mhm.
towards the US, but that's mostly political. But culture wise, US culture is coveted everywhere, and we live in a country where people just discard stuff. They don't care, but that stuff is treasured. I mean, when you sell a
Mhm.
baseball cap to Japan, maybe you sold it to them for $14.99, but by the time it gets to their door, it cost them almost $90 or eighty
Yep.
dollars or whatever the case may be, and they covet it because uh, American culture is revealed everywhere. And I really think that if they can roll this out, and this is maybe me being a little too optimistic, but if they can roll this out, it's going to be great for the survivors of what is kind of like medieval times right now on the platform. Bo's frozen in time again. Okay, let's get to a comment. Joseph Shaw, good to see you. I'm going to go straight to questions because there's a lot. Josh Graff, good to see you. Jeff Doris, good to see you. The sausage vendor says lag. Okay, go for it, Bo. Back to you.
Yeah, just wanted to take a brief intro because, wow, you guys are blowing up the comments. Good job. eBay life, the daily struggles of an eBay seller. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you. WTF, hello, welcome. Jeff, yeah, welcome. Good to see you, brother. Elio, how's it going? Finally caught alive. You're here. Appreciate you. Josh, welcome. Appreciate you, brother. Lag, thank you for coming in. A lot of your viewers jumping on. That's cool.
Good.
Bolo is, so here's a Bolo Pink Zen MP3 player. Remember those?
Yes, I do. That's that's after my time. I'm all the way back to cassettes and Discman.
Yeah. Migo says, "Hey Josh, hey Bo, how's it going?" Silver hair stacker, howdy.
Todd,
sausage vendor, yeah. That's a good metaphor though, right? The curator of thrift, how's it going? Travis, I put my zip and 1,000-mile radius to stop the UK and Australia stuff from showing up. I am noticing that too. A lot of international solds showing up. So that's a good way to kind of combat that. Know what? How's it going? J.R. Roper. I'm late, but somehow early. Yep. Yeah. So if you guys see me cut out, I internet difficulties, but I'm here. We'll make it work. Bo is the coolest name ever. I appreciate it. Hey, thank you. But yeah, I'm not French, so that's where it's from. Sneedmeister, I hear you, Josh.
Yeah, he's one of my original OGs from back in 2009.
Nice.
Way back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, so Migo says, Josh, your analysis is 100% correct. eBay is focused more on the buyer than the seller. Okay, so
can I jump in on that? Do we have time for me to interrupt? Sorry, everybody in the comments. Another important point that I wanted to bring up, and I forgot until I just thought about it, is this. eBay doesn't really exist, which is a weird thing to think about. So if you go to the San Jose campus, there's almost nobody there. They're work from home. However, everybody works remotely. So you have this overarching structure of CEO executives that don't really talk to anyone, down to project managers, vice project managers, et cetera, et cetera. The developers who are responsible for the site work all over the world. Norway, Iceland, Chile, Colombia, New Zealand, you name it. They're in different time zones, and they're assigned packets to work on, like a new rollout feature, like pictures in the feedback section, for example. So that group will work on that. They'll test it in the sandbox, and then they'll roll it out live. But there is no one responsible if there's an issue, because all that has to go back up to the head, the feedback has to come in, and then it has to go to a whole new set of project managers and developers to fix the item. So again, when people have issues, even customer service, for example, customer service is largely done out of Eastwood City, which is in the Philippines. It's a consulting firm. It's like an investor relations firm. They have no contact with eBay. They have full access to your account, but they don't actually reach out to eBay. So the lack of cohesiveness in the organization means that you can fume and vent and talk to whoever you want, but it doesn't get anywhere. It just gets stuck in the matrix.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize that.
It's a company of consultants.
Yeah.
It's just the devs don't work for eBay largely. They're consultants. It's just it's a bunch of consulting firms attempting to work together on this massive oil tanker that hits every single iceberg, but somehow just stays afloat and keeps going, called eBay.
Yeah, 121 million active buyers, and I believe the next closest for used goods is Poshmark at 25 million active buyers. So it's a big deal.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people make a living reselling on eBay. A lot.
And how many companies do I know, like Oculus, sold for $1 billion? That was an eBay company. They started fixing iPhones and selling them on eBay. Palmer Luckey ran that firm. The girl from Spanx, she started on eBay. It was a $120 million firm. The list really goes on and on of entrepreneurs that started on eBay. And this is the benefit of eBay. And I'm sorry, everybody in the comments, but I'm all amped up. But this
A
is the
hot
benefit of
topic.
this is the benefit of eBay is it teaches you how to be a business. It teaches you about customer service. When
Mhm.
your customer's angry, you say I'm sorry first. The customer's always right. How to deal with customers, how to pack, how to ship, how to buy, how to sell, how to manage your money, do taxes. It teaches you all these things not at scale, and by that I mean from the very beginning, which over time, who knows what you can build this into.
Right.
But it starts a lot of huge billion-dollar businesses, and that is not an exaggeration, um,
Mhm.
started on eBay, learning at the
Mhm.
very beginning.
Mhm. Yeah, what great tools you can learn just by stumbling into reselling and then go, "Oh, I can actually build a business not only to just support my family, but I can hire employees.
Yeah,
I can grow
yeah,
this as big as I want, essentially."
yeah, yeah. Look at Harry
Right.
Tornado. He's moved into real estate now. Who knows
Mhm.
where he's going to be in 10 years? I mean, I don't know the guy personally, but that his media thing, then the real estate, that all
Yeah.
started with reselling on eBay because
Yeah,
he learned.
yeah, that's actually a great topic. What do you see beyond eBay? Are you looking at other ways to maybe do eBay, but then look into other side ventures, real estate, whatnot? I don't know. What are some projects that you have in mind?
I think there are two. Part of
Mhm.
me wants to grind and just see where this takes me and work my 18 hours a day and just never shut off.
Mhm.
Another part of me, and I haven't decided which path I'm going to go down, just wants to make enough money to buy a nice lake house and check out. You'll never hear from Josh Galt again. And, I'll sit on the beach and I'll watch the loons and the sun come up and down, and then that'll be the last you hear of me. So I'm kind of stuck between those two paths. But I'd like
Mhm.
to ask you the same question. Where does Bo see himself? I mean, it's not a job interview. You can answer any way you want, but what do you want? Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll always do eBay, whether I hire these processes out or not. But I think it's important that we do have an open mind as far as like, what am I going to do with my profits? Because I truly believe the eggs in one basket, right? Like, if
Yeah.
you put it all on eBay, then you really are susceptible to these big swings and all these errors and glitches.
Platform
Um,
risk. Just
yeah, so
platform
that's
risk.
why I started
Yeah.
Poshmark.
Yeah.
I can always take things off Poshmark. I could always just shut down the account, but I'm
Yeah.
trying different
It's
things.
smart.
Another one is real estate,
Yeah.
and then I'm also helping people. Teach them how to resell and how to
Yeah.
combat some of these issues. A little bit of Amazon. So I think it's important to just diversify a little bit. Like when you invest, right? You don't want to put everything in Tesla, right?
Yes.
You want to diversify.
Now, would you
Um,
say that your experience on eBay has changed how you view real estate? Can you take what I mean? I guess you pretty much just said yes before, but um, do you see the lessons that eBay teaches us? Because myself, I can say I've learned a ton about business, and I'm coming from city of Toronto, big corporation. I wish
mhm.
in my corporate career I knew the things that I know now, having learned from being an eBay seller.
Oh, I've learned so many tracking the data, you know, all of the data,
Yeah.
because whatever can get measured can be improved. And I was
Yes.
never like that before. Like with my
Yeah.
finances, but now there's so much data that eBay gives you that where
Yes.
you can now transfer that into any business you want to start. You go, what am I making per hour? That's a good
Yep.
question.
And
As a
well, and
CEO or an owner, yeah.
and let me add some color to that. To your point, tracking
Mm,
the data. You can take in all this, the media and us talking and the glitches, and get really, really frustrated and say, you know what, I'm done. This site sucks. But if you go back, zoom out, look at your year over year, I'm 20% up year over year. You're
mhm,
rocking it. As long as you're outpacing inflation, your business is growing and it's healthy.
right.
So I agree with that. Yeah, and it prevents an emotional response.
Mhm,
It forces you into the logical, analytical response, which is what your business wants. Analytical, logical responses.
mhm.
Relationships maybe are more so emotional responses.
That's where that fear of missing out comes from. Just
Sure.
from an investing term, it's total emotion. You
Yes.
can't have that. If you're a trader on for Goldman Sachs and you're stressing out, you're fired.
Yeah,
And they don't
you're done in
even
no time. Your first
yeah,
loss,
so
you're done. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, so it's, similar, and, like, for that aspect, just try not to have too much emotion when it comes with these ups and downs, but it's hard not to, we're human.
sure,
So,
sure.
but yeah, Honeybee's Hanger says, "As a buyer, if it's not an easy buy, I'm out. As a seller, it's my job to make it easy." 100%. Yeah, could you imagine being on a platform, you wanna buy something, and it won't go through? How annoying.
Yeah, you just and then that's it. You know what? I'm not coming back here. And then you set up an account on Mercari,
Yeah,
and it facilitates the transaction. Now that app is on your phone, and you just do it there from now on, or Amazon.
yeah,
So when eBay does their buyer satisfaction surveys, it's not a true measure if they're losing 50% of their buyers because it's just hard to do. They're like I said, at a traffic light, they stop, they
yeah,
look down at their phone, they go to buy something, doesn't work. Okay, done with that. Moving on.
yeah. Yeah, Masters Maniac Mexo, I have one item where I accepted the offer, but the customer can't pay. Two items have no watchers, but I can send offers. One item has two watchers, and I can't send any offers anyhow. Oh man. Yeah. Interesting. There's this little piece of detail we've discovered. You people can send offers even if the person hasn't watched the item. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, there's some weird thing going on because Marcus was talking about, we when we do these store reviews, we're looking at people's items, but we're not watching them, and then they're
Yes.
still able to send us an offer. So
Yeah,
that's I've
I don't
never
know how
seen
that
that.
works. Yeah, I don't know how that works.
I
That's
don't
odd.
know, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I've never seen that. I was always thinking that we had to watch the item to get an offer. So it's interesting, but yeah, it's not a surprise
Can I shoot out a piece of advice to newer resellers? Even
for
though
sure. Yeah,
I'm going to tell everybody here, I'm a
yeah.
bad
What
teacher.
would you suggest? Yeah,
I'm a very bad teacher. But for the newer
good.
people, I wish I learned this in the beginning, and sometimes I still struggle with it. But don't sweat the small stuff. Like
Hmm.
the things that like someone returning an item or coming in hot and they say you're a scammer, whatever else, this item sucks. Try not, and this goes back to the emotional thing, try not to let that in and just deal with it and get that person out of the way and just move on. I wish I learned that earlier. um, if you look back, Bo, as an example, do you remember the ins and out of a return that you had 2 months ago? No,
Mm-mm.
it's a moment in time, and then you know what,
Yeah.
you never have to think about it again. So don't let them
Mhm.
live rent free in your head.
Mhm.
Just deal with it, move them on. Sometimes this is going to sound horrible. I just pretend that I'm speaking to a dog that I'm really happy to see. I'm like, everything is good, no problem, yeah,
Mhm.
absolute good boy, everything, and I just want them gone. Some people are trouble. Probably shouldn't have said that. That makes me look bad, but it's true. Just give them all kill them with kindness and get them out of the way.
100%. That just is a good principle in life, whether they're a customer or a friend.
Sure.
I'm a big believer. You win an argument, you lose a friend, and it's
Yeah,
like
that's a good point.
I,
Yes.
I'm not trying to win every argument, even though if I think that I'm right or wrong, I'm really just trying to just love on people, right? You
Yeah.
and it works great with eBay because yeah, there is some times where you make a mistake and I just go, you know what, I'm gonna bless this person, keep the item, get your money back, have a great
and,
day.
and I'm going to move on. Yeah.
That,
And I'm
that's why
just going to move on from it.
I always suggest having generated responses for typical questions you get because it cuts
Yes.
out all the emotion.
Sure.
And
Sure.
most of the questions you get are pretty much the same. So,
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
Lag says eBay will be able to compete when they remove the seller, like Amazon does. Pretty interesting. Colin, hey Bo, good to catch you live. Been busy. Try to catch you on Zoom call this coming week. Yeah, anytime. Well, Monday through Friday. But yeah, we'd love to see you. Appreciate you, Cole. Let's see. Biff Boffo, gentlemen, when do you think eBay's increased advertising revenue hits a plateau? I think people's tolerance for promoted listings is 25-30%. Could you see a day and age where that is actually the norm?
that question is for you because I answered him with that one the other day already. So
Okay.
when do you, so I guess to sum the question up, he wants to
Well,
know what you think is, when have sellers reached the point that they can't take it anymore?
Uh, yeah, it just depends on everyone's business model and profit margin. So we typically buy things for pretty cheap, right? Most people. And I was looking at an interesting thing. In your advertising dashboard, you can really see how much money you're spending and how much gross sales that's generating. So
Right.
last year, I spent $15,000 in promoted listing fees, but it brought in $148,000 in gross
Yep.
sales.
Yep.
So let's cut that in half just as a ballpark figure. So
Yeah.
let's say 75,000. So I spent 15,000 to make about 75,000 net
Yep.
pre-tax. So
Yep.
what's the tolerance level on that? Because that's a good ROI that you wouldn't find really anywhere else, right?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's my kind of point of view. If I was pushed to promote more, well, that's fine because look at the ROI on the 15,000.
Right. And
So
no one
mhm,
has a gun to our head saying you have to promote 15%. And then we also know the deal going in. We know
yeah,
now that it's pay to play. This isn't an unknown anymore. We know the deal going in, so we can work
right.
with that and we can deal with that.
Mhm,
And you know what? If you're, like you said, you're spending a certain amount to get a certain amount of in sales, but if those sales start to decline, it might not be worth it anymore for you. So
yeah,
I think this is, to build on
100%.
your point before, is this is why it's so important to know what your data is at the end of the day.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, 100%. And you get a lot thrown at you, especially if you're a new reseller. And we get this a lot in the Patreon. What numbers should I be looking at? And really, I'm just looking at my average sale price and how many I'm selling on a
Yeah.
month over month basis. I never take the daily or the weekly
No.
statistics with it's just it could be up 1 week, down 1 week. You
Sure.
want to look at least a month because you want a bunch of data within that data within that range of time.
Sure.
Um, so, like you said, year over year, that's the best metric. Year over year. So
Yes.
if you're up 60% year over year, do you know how hard that is in a brick and mortar?
They're
That's
they're
impossible.
they're going after 3%. And not only that, but a lot of
Yeah.
brick and mortar, their business model is predicated upon loss leaders. Starbucks does not make any money on the coffee. All that is
Yeah.
pretty much given away for free. So it's all busy work. And they're hoping
Mhm.
you buy a sandwich and everything else they make a little bit of profit on. And at the end of the
Yeah.
year, they may be out of each retail chain, they get 3% profits. So if you're doing 60, 65% year over year or whatever your numbers are, you can understand why the brick and mortars are taking a bit of an adversarial stance against some of the online retailers because they're
Mhm.
investing all the money into branding, advertising, and
Yep.
everything else. And we're pretty
Right.
much getting it at discount and just putting it in front of a customer.
Yep. Ye A mall brand clothing, and these brands that are in the malls, they're paying a lot of money
Oh,
in
yeah.
marketing,
Yes.
and I get to kinda not leverage that, but kinda hop on the train, so to speak, to, you know, kinda get some of that market share, right?
Sure.
Um
And near me, where I live, you could
Mhm.
walk into a shopping mall that's filled with retail stores and roll a bowling ball from one end of the mall to the other, and nobody would say anything. That's how empty they are. And here
Yeah.
we still have a very strong customer segment online. And I think that the pandemic really strengthened confidence in online retail. So there's
Yeah.
opportunity here, but the platform needs to get on board. They need to kind of facilitate this a little bit better rather than ignoring the complaints that are. I mean, these the people that are bringing up these issues. They've been doing this for 20 years.
Mhm.
You know, it's
Mhm.
not someone who just started. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're all and then going back to just we're all in the same boat, whether big store or small store, there's something going on because 'cause we're all using the platform,
sure,
you know?
sure.
Yosef says, "What's going on?" Biff Boffo, I think they will be there by Q1 2024. Okay, as far as, like, going, uh people promoting their listings higher. We'll see. Yosef says, "So I'm not the only guy with eBay slow sales. You are right. Um, do you say Mercari or Poshmark? Um, I don't understand. I mean, I don't. I'm just doing Poshmark right now. So I've heard interesting things about Mercari, but Yeah. Wrestling Fig says, "What's going on?" J.R. Roper, I went from 20 sales a day to maybe 5. Nothing on my end has changed. Yeah. July has always been my slowest month for the
Yeah.
last 2 years. Just looking at it from the data, and August has always been, stronger, right?
It
But
should be picking
July
up
was my
now.
slowest.
They're securing their student loans. The money's starting to come in. People are going
Mhm,
back to the office. It should start picking up. I haven't noticed
mhm.
that myself. I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
25 sales, 5, 10, 3, 35. It's up and down.
And then do you wanna just touch on, are you promoting right now, and what do you see versus your organic and promoted sales?
So I don't actually pay attention. I do promote. I've
Mhm.
tested it all. I've
Yeah.
done 100% promoted to see what would happen on certain items. I was one of the beta testers for the cost per click method. It cost me $4,500 in a month. I had no increase in gross sales. I've done from 5% all the way up. So I found a metric that works for me, and I promote. I
Mhm,
do. I use the dynamic ad rate that works for me. I cap it,
mhm.
and those are kind of the guidelines that I play within. And then past that, I'm done playing around with that.
Yeah.
It's like Alice in Wonderland. You go down the rabbit hole and it gets so confusing that you don't know how to get out again. So I'm happy with that, and that's kind of what I'm going to leave it at. And I do a coupon for a set percentage. That one I repopulate every single month, and I'll send it out to my watchers, etc. It gets fairly good traction, but I kind of leave it at that. I don't end and sell similar. I don't keep
Yeah.
restarting promotions. I want everything to stay indexed.
Yeah. Similar to me, didn't wanna end promotions and stuff for that reason too. Flipping for fun and profits. I was full-time in 2018, 2019, and can tell you from these same sentiments were echoed back then as well. Interesting. Yeah, there's always gonna be problems with things, it's like nothing's ever gonna be perfect. But I think now just the problems are more like, especially with social media, it's just being more spread, like more people know about it, you know?
Yes.
Josh, great question. So he says, for the both of you, I saw this question on one of your lives too, or you asked this question. Um, but failures and obstacles you had to overcome in your business and scar tissues from the grind. I'll let you go. What do you think has been the hardest part of your business so far?
Yeah, I asked somebody else. I asked a few people that question. I think I asked Marcus that question too,
It's a
and
great
caught
one.
him
Yeah.
off guard. And it is a doozy.
Hmm.
I have I have hit a ton of obstacles from personal to, um, I left a very comfortable career where I did very well,
Hmm.
and I kind of jumped into the unknown. And I mean, I don't even know that I could say one obstacle. I've hit almost everything you can imagine, Bo. Honestly,
Hmm.
I started when I first started, very young, dirt poor. So from that to this point, it has been a grind. But I will say this, and I'm sorry, Josh, this doesn't really answer your question because I need some time to think about it because I don't want to divulge too much of my personal life. But I, in my life, I have never been more confident that what I'm doing is right and that this has a lot of future potential and growth potential. I feel very, very confident about that. So much so that I wonder whether or not I'm questioning myself about the possible pitfalls and failures. So it doesn't answer his question, but many, many, many obstacles. Many,
Hmm.
many, many, many.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, the failures are actually appreciated, because if I'm not learning from those failures, like this is the key. If failure is not an option at all, then neither is success.
Sure.
So we must go through failure, but don't live there. Figure out how
Learn and
to
move
solve
on.
the
Yeah.
problem. I
Yeah.
truly believe this. There are no problems in life, just problems thinking.
Yes.
So this is why when I fail, I'm like, I got to figure this out. I got to develop a plan, a strategy, a goal. You'd be surprised on how many people you ask. Take, for example, I'll ask, what's your vision for the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself in the next 2 years? What's your goals? Let me see a list of your goals. You'd be surprised on how many people have no list of
Sure.
goals.
Sure. I can tell you,
So,
I'll backtrack here to Josh Graff.
Yeah.
My very first business that I started was a construction company. Right
Mhm.
off the bat, I hired 13 people. I had no experience. I bought trucks, I bought
Mhm.
equipment, huge loans. You knew how that's going to end, right?
Mhm.
No, but I don't know how to keep books. I don't know any of it. And it came apart, lawsuits, everything else. I can tell you there's nothing worse than when a business fails spectacularly and it's a sole proprietorship. You have to really, really fight to survive when you're in a situation like that. It's courts, it's creditors, it's everything else. I've been there. It was horrible. And I was very apprehensive to start this business full time based on that experience. But
Mhm.
as like to build on your point, that fear of failing and those lessons learned in the first business, now I'm very cautious. I'm not hiring anyone until I see growth stall out. I'm
Mhm.
not committing too much capital into risk that's unmanaged. So I
Mhm.
really, really, really watching it and making sure that the numbers line up, which is not something I did before.
Yeah. I mean, I 100% agree. Figuring out how I mean, that I didn't know early on. I go, "Oh, I'm actually losing money." So when you can recognize that, you are much more careful on your spending. You go, "Okay, this is the allowance of per month what I'm going to buy in inventory, and it won't go past that."
Yep.
And I need to make
Yep.
sure everything gets listed before I
Yep.
go buy anything else.
I have
So
nothing here. I've got everything listed, and that is
yeah,
a little bit too much. But I agree with you. There's no
yeah,
keep it going, keep it moving.
yeah, yeah,
Can't sell anything you
100%.
don't list.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Unless you just like shopping, which I mean, I bought a guy's storage unit last year who loved shopping and
Yeah,
spent probably hundreds of thousands of dollars shopping at all these malls. And I go buy everything for, a fraction of what they spent. But that's that shopping addiction. Sometimes with reselling and shopping,
yeah.
you got to kind of be aware of like, do you just like to shop? Because that can be you
What
can be
he
out of
was
business.
doing is a hobby, and what you're doing is a
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So you've consumed that entire hobby that spent hundreds of thousands of dollars for maybe a few $1,000s. The business consumed it
Mhm.
and listed it all.
Mhm.
Like I agree
Yep.
100%.
Yep, it's all listed except for
Yeah,
the underwear.
yeah.
Um,
That one you're keeping. That one you're hanging on to.
yeah, I don't need, 200 pairs of Calvin Klein,
Oh,
yeah, no,
nice.
nothing
Yeah,
no
that'll
thanks.
sell for good. There you go.
Yeah, lag with a kiss face emoji. I'm not all, 100% on the emojis, but yeah, thank you, lag.
Lag's a
Um,
joker, but he's a good guy.
yeah, no, appreciate it. Jeff asked, "Are you on Instagram?"
No, no.
Okay, cool. Yosef says, "So what other platforms do you say you do?" For me, I've just started Poshmark. I've been eBay for life for the last 2.5, 3 years. Have you ever experienced with other platforms or?
No, not really, not
Yeah.
seriously. I think for me, I'm aware of the platform risk and that I could lose everything if eBay shuts me down, especially if I keep running my mouth on YouTube. But I am still focusing on my original business model of growing for 3 years, which will come due in December. And then if after that growth starts dropping off, then I'm going to start focusing on the other platforms. But
Mhm.
right now, I feel like I have so many balls in the air that I just want to stay focused on what's working.
Yeah. And then by then too, with all these cross listing platforms and AI and all that advancement, it should essentially by then be a click of a button where you could just take all your items and put them
It could be.
everywhere,
Yeah,
right?
it could be.
Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
So, J.R. Roper says, "It's just facts. My sales are slow as they are every year this time. Pumpkin Spice is back at Dunkin' Donuts, which is my signal the slow times are almost over."
Yes.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting how you kind of, can capitalize on that. But we are in a change of season. I
Yeah.
think you took a photo that was on YouTube or something of the leaves
Yes.
changing.
Yeah.
We see it here too. It's
Yeah.
a seasonal thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
everything in life is a season. There is
Yeah.
a season to all things.
Yeah.
How often does fall follow summer?
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
time for the
Every
last 8,000 years. So, there's a season, and it's okay because we can plan for the seasons to come. But, I truly believe that depression and negativity comes from thinking things will stay the same. things
And
never stay the same. They just
nobody
change.
knows about us. Maybe YouTube, but eBay, nobody knows, nobody cares. They're not going to help. It's all on us. We
Yeah.
we are given the seeds. We got to plant them. We got to grow the plant. It's up to us. And
Mhm.
if there's problems on the platform, it's summer slowdown. There's macro problems. It's incumbent upon us to navigate around that the best we can and
Mhm.
keep going. And the
Mhm.
survivors in the next consumer cycle, when things take off again, we're going to be laughing. Our businesses will grow faster than what we can manage.
Mhm. Yeah. 100%. Cheryl says, "What's going on, Bo and Josh? First time catching live. Appreciate you. Welcome, Cheryl." Biff Boffo says, "EIS isn't a good thing or good long-term plan because of the shipping and VAT is prohibitive."
Okay,
Interesting. Yep.
address that, the VAT tax? So
Mhm.
this is not public knowledge, Biff Boffo, and it's a good point because a lot of countries have to pay a value-added tax. That's what the VAT tax is for your viewers.
Okay.
So front-loaded for a lot of buyers overseas, they're like, I'm not paying $60, $70 for this item. Now, in the new EIS rollout, one of their KPIs or key performance indicators
Mhm.
is they're going to reach a level where the buyer can pay it at the door. So as opposed to global shipping and the way EIS is set up now, they can risk it and see if it can get to their door without having to pay the tax. So
Wow.
that's the way it used to be. So they're going to roll that back out, and I think that might prevent. I mean, the seller's not going to be happy when the item arrives and they have to scan their card, but when they decide to buy the item, it's going to. I think it will create more sales. eBay's thought of this.
Yeah. That'll be cool if it goes into place because it's
Yeah.
gonna open up globally, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
They want
interesting.
to eat. So Mercari's out of Japan. I think Poshmark's out of South Korea now. They've pretty much captured the Asian market, and they're trying to move into the U.S. market. And I think eBay wants to take the battle there. I think they really want to go after the Asian market, and if they can roll this out properly, uh, I mean, sales will be through the roof. I believe.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Wandering Wolf says, "Do what it takes. Absolutely. Never
Yeah.
give up." Hey, Jamie, how's it going? Good to see you. Mona says, "Good day. Good day, Mona. Happy you're here. Sales are very slow after COVID. Yeah, eBay failed to really hang on to a lot of those buyers that came on during the pandemic. So back to where we were. Mona, you said we are selling from India since 2001. Now our sales is only 20 times in 1 month. Wow. Yeah. Biff Boffo says the only strategy is to cross list. That is a good strategy. Absolutely. Mona says how to increase sales. Yeah. So if you're speaking to maybe a beginner or an experienced person, what is your big idea as far as like what should I do if I'm experiencing slow sales?
Uh, don't be afraid to learn.
Yeah.
Learn, and we all started there. Everybody starts with either I need more money or I hate my job and I can't do this anymore. Or maybe I'm just really unhappy and unsatisfied. That's where everybody starts, from that place. And then from that point, it's learning. This isn't working. The business doesn't want that. This is working. And just kind of building off of that. There's no easy way, um, especially in this environment. So,
Mhm.
like how to increase sales, you got to remember that question, Mona. And this is not me. I'm not trying to be facetious or anything, but
Mhm.
every single business, including Bo's and mine, are asking that question. So we're all chasing the same
Yeah.
thing right now.
Yeah.
And you know, and for the ins and outs of that, I'm not very good. I'm not a good teacher. Bo does
I'm
a good job
learning.
of that. Bo does a good job. He runs his own teaching program. So that's Bo's area. So I'm going to pass that whole question on over to you, Bo.
No, I'm learning. I learned from your lives, and I think everyone can be a teacher. Even if you're a 10 item a month seller, there's some things that we can learn. And yes, learning solves a lot of problems because what you thought you knew will oftentimes surrender to what you learn.
Sure.
So, and this is why experience doesn't always mean that that's the best because things are constantly changing.
Trends change.
And in an ever changing world, sometimes your experience can actually work against you rather than for you. So this is why in an ever-changing world, what can we do to increase sales? There's so many things. But I like what you said, Josh, and this is what I'm doing too, is I'm trying to bring in better items.
Yeah.
Bring in a standard of items to where now I am not going to be putting in 30% sell-through rate items in my store anymore. I want to only put in, and you do this, I've heard you do this, items that are like $20 and lower when you find them in your storage units. Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah.
Because now you're putting in all the work. You're doing the photos, you're doing the cleaning, the pictures, the listing and everything. And then it's like you make $4 profit.
Oh, okay.
So,
Can I address that? $4 of profit. What
mhm.
I found for my store is anything under $12.99. Since right now there's issues on the platform, slowdown, whatever you want to blame it on, these items don't move fast enough. So when I zoomed out and I put in all my costs, the cost for lights or electricity, internet, cost of goods, gasoline, insurance, and blah 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 blah, and you keep going and going and going and going. eBay's fees, shipping supplies. When you put all that into the $12.99 item, you make zero. So unless you're selling at volume, if you're not selling at volume, then it doesn't work. So all you've done this whole time, all this stress, pressure, is you've run a hamster wheel. You're just keeping yourself busy for no reason. So it's different if you're getting volume, but if you're not getting volume, it doesn't work anymore. And so for me, anything under $12.99 originally, I just got rid of. Now it's $20 because $20 I can discount that down. A $12.99, if I discount it down to $7, I'm back on the hamster wheel that I don't want to be on anymore. And we have to think hourly. How much are we getting paid per hour that we're doing this? Because we have bills to pay and mouths to feed. So if you're not making any money in an hour because you're not making any money on your items, then what's the point? We can just go work at In-N-Out Burger. There's no point.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why it's important to at least know how much you're making an hour. At least.
Oh, for
Figure
sure.
it out. Are you taking 12 hours a day to work on eBay or 3?
Yeah.
Figure that out, and it'll give you some motivation to be like, well, how can I increase that?
Yeah. And for your
So,
viewers, a simple way of doing that is take the total dollar amount that you list, even though it won't all sell for that much, but it will give you a vague idea. Take the total dollar amount that you list every single day and just divide that by the number of hours you worked. That will give you approximately your gross merchandise volume number for the day. I don't know if you do that or not, but I keep a close eye on that.
Not on the amount that I list, but actually just like the net of the end of the month, and
Right.
that's what I track,
Right.
pre-tax. I'll say that with the disclaimer, pre-tax.
Yeah. Never know who's
So,
watching. I've got the CRA, which is our version of the IRS, watching videos. So
good.
You never know who's watching.
No, that's great. I mean, I'm here to learn, so hopefully they can help me. Rusty Bucket says, "Good morning. Good morning. Good
Morning,
to see
Tracy.
you." Henri Squaw, howdy. Good to see you. Buckeye State Flips, 23 years on eBay. Just keep plowing through. Persistence will pay off.
Agree.
Yeah, I love the quote of, if you don't quit, you don't lose.
Yeah.
But there are some things you should quit. But as far as business and that mentality, yeah, and having that vision too.
Great entrepreneurs have one thing in common. They're not smarter than us. There's nothing other than they're persistent. And I feel every great entrepreneur, when you hear their life story, they've hit these walls where they were down to $0. They just barely made it through. So I think, persistence is a big thing. But as you said, if you're losing money year over year, you're doing something wrong. But if you're following your plan and you're achieving your goals, but you're still just barely getting by, adjust, stay persistent. I mean, I don't want to give advice because someone could mess their life up listening to me, but that's my mantra. That's my mentality.
Yeah, 100%. Mona asks, what's your thoughts? Do you run, she goes, is auction better or buy it now?
Me?
I don't do auctions.
I don't do auction either. I would only do auction if that's all I did was auctions. And then people know you as the auction person. Otherwise, I think it gets lost. Yeah, and you need like a huge amount of followers that are looking for your items every single day, and then they'll maybe bid it up. But in this environment, for me, auctions, I don't know about you, Bo, but it's not for me.
Nah.
No.
William, what's going on, buddy? Patreon member right there. William's doing great. Yosef says, so guys, that book you're selling will help me with clothes. And can you tell me where you find what's hot and selling clothes and how you find it? First of all, yeah, the book was created for beginner clothing resellers just to really master item specifics and figure out all the terminology and concepts. So I think it can be helpful for anybody, but I appreciate that. But as far as hot and selling clothes, that's going to range. I mean, it ranges from your demographic. Where are you located? I can tell you, hey, go pick up these you know, special item that I find in my area, but you may never be able to find it because you live in Alabama, right? So you got to really, what I would suggest is checking solds on left-hand navigation and do it by radius. So type in your zip code, check solds on men's jeans, women's jeans, whatever clothing you want, and do it with left-hand navigation by radius. Then you can figure out what's going to be hot and selling in your area, because no one really sources by airplane these days. Oh, I'm gonna fly over here and pick up some jeans. So, yeah, that's what I would do, Yosef, if you're looking for good stuff in your area. Lag says I could listen to Bo talk all day.
It's relaxing. Yeah, he's got that
nice.
good radio voice.
You guys are too nice. I appreciate that though. Sweet girl I'll just say sweet girl. Bo, thank you so much for the Kohl's heads up. The sale was insane. I got Levi's silver tab jeans for $5. Yeah, that's another thing too. Other than bringing better items into my store, is I've been doing a little bit more online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, mainly for pumping things up for Q4. But that's good that you found some good stuff. Do you do any online stuff or anything like that?
No, not me. No,
Yeah.
just the, once in a while I put stuff on Facebook Marketplace, but I don't really want to meet people. I'd almost donate it, then have to meet. I just don't want to do that whole thing. Maybe they show up, maybe they don't. I just would rather not go there.
Yeah. What's that meme that's out? Is this available? And you go, yes. And then it's just ...
Yeah, exactly.
Like you never. So it's basically,
I meet you at the coffee shop. I'll be an hour late. Then they never show up. And, you just waste time. I've got kids sometimes and that doesn't really work, that they got to come or something. I just would sooner not deal with it.
Yeah. Very true. William says he's got the voice of an angel. Oh, you guys appreciate it. Lag says, right, it's crazy. Bo, do you sell repeatable new merchandise? Curious. Yeah, to a certain extent, I pick up just pretty much the same brands that sell in my store. Bread and butter items, right? Nothing that's going to be too hard to find, because I list 50 items a day. So there's only so many good items out there, right? Everyone knows about the good items, but people that pass on the American Eagle, the brands that are just like, yeah, this is junk, I'll pick it up if it fits my, factors, like if it's silk or a good sell-through rate, I'm gonna grab it. So, but yeah, I like to sell the same items. I'm not like picking up brands I've never heard of before. It's hard to duplicate that too. But yeah, good question. One busy mama to you. Hey, Bo and Josh and everyone. Although eBay has slowed down for most, including myself, thank goodness for eBay, because if you were out in 100-degree heat doing yard sales, you would lose money. Yes. Do you do yard sales or garage sales? How do you source mainly all your inventory? You don't have to say where, but how do you go about it?
I don't do garage sales. I'm generally fairly introverted. I don't like to meet people or do that whole chit chat kind of stuff. So I don't usually go to flea markets or anything like that. I usually do estates. So an estate auction, before it goes up to the auctioneer, I'll reach out and say, hey, can I buy the entire estate? If it's good, I have a buyer that buys storage lockers. They usually pick through the best stuff, and then they'll pass it on to me if I'm interested, or I'll just go to storage locker auctions myself and kind of pick through it that way. Those are my 3 primary sources. And then number 4 would be online arbitrage. I have niches that I'm in that are difficult to identify for some people, and they often turn up in lots. So I'll part those out and then sell them individually.
Do you use eBay for that?
Yes. Yeah. eBay to eBay arbitrage. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, it's good stuff. Wandering Wolf says, imagine trying to run a startup with everyone working from home. Yeah. If you go on Google and go to Google Trends and type in remote work, it's on an uptrend. So more
Yeah.
people are working from home. So yeah. Lag says Matrix reference. I knew I liked Josh. Mona says, yes, true. eBay is a very good platform to earn, but nowadays sales are decreasing. I'll just go ahead and say it. eBay's changed my life.
Yeah.
There's no bad feelings that I have about eBay. I just know that if things continue this way, I need to figure out other opportunities to make money.
Me too.
So,
Everybody.
yeah. Biff Boffo says if eBay trends continue, they will be below 100 million sellers by 2026, if not sooner. Especially with the competition, what do you think about these whatnot auctions and these live auctions? Do you think that that's where things are trending nowadays?
Okay. This is interesting. My
Mm,
opinion on this is that I think it is, of course, okay to diversify as a seller into those other platforms. I
mm,
would not put all my eggs in one basket because overarching, with the exception of Poshmark, but the Whatnots and the Mercaris and a lot of these other platforms, Bonanza,
mm,
they are privately funded and they lose tens of millions of dollars a year. So they're, in order for their business model to work, they have to grow aggressively so that they can outpace their debt. All
mm,
that debt has to be refinanced, and it's going to be refinanced at higher rates. So just know for everybody that yes, eBay is chasing sellers into their competitors' arms. However,
mm.
these are financially not healthy companies. They are dependent on a lot of investor money that they're having trouble securing in this kind of environment.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I would say most big businesses that we think, oh man, these are $1 million companies, $1 billion companies. A lot of them aren't profitable.
No, no, they're running on growth, and
Yeah.
there was a time in Silicon Valley where you could go to Silicon Valley Bank or First Republic and say, I have an idea, I'm looking for seed capital, and they'd give you $1 million, and then that $1 million is not secured against anything.
Mm,
But those days
mm,
are over. So these companies were birthed out of that, and that's not the environment we're in anymore. It's a very cautious environment
mhm.
as far
Yeah.
as investment is concerned, private investment.
The entire monetary system is dependent on debt. It's a
Yes.
debt-based system, and the
Yeah.
average fiat currency only lasts us 26 years.
Yeah. So
So,
we're long in the tooth.
yeah, this is a result. Yeah, since
Yeah.
1971, since they made the change off the gold standard.
Oh,
And
so you're
actually,
a
yeah.
gold and silver person at heart.
Oh,
You're an
well,
honest money person at heart. You're letting it all
yeah,
out
well,
now.
yeah, sound money.
Sound
What does
money.
that
Yeah.
mean exactly, right? It
Yeah.
means that if the goal, you could tell money is true by the way that the sound it makes,
Yeah.
when it hits the ground, right? But yeah, you see the is from a big scheme of things, big picture, is that the money that we use is based on dishonest weights and measures. So therefore, everything
Yeah.
that you see is like fairy tales, fairyland. It's all like it's a debt-based system. The economy can only grow by growing into more debt.
It is.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So that's why you see a lot of problems happening. Um, yeah, so it's interesting. I do truly believe we're living in a paradigm shift, whether it happens in the next
Yeah.
5 years, 10 years, but how we use money and how we perceive value, tied to how we use money, is going to change. Like it can only go on for so long, right? This is why you see the banks collapsing.
Yeah.
So
We are. This is a whole other topic, but we are.
yes,
Our
it
whole
is. Yes.
system is predicated upon 3% interest rates, and when you go above 3% interest rates, all that debt, and as Bo said, there's a lot of it becomes too expensive to service. And to
Hmm.
tie that back into our customers on eBay, picture somebody who has a mortgage that they've locked in for 5 years for
Hmm.
2.5%. When they have to go refinance that mortgage after 5 years, now it's 7.5%, and their $1,500 payment went up to $4,500. Now
Yep.
that's $3,500 a month they could be spending on other things, and that's a macro thing. That's not conspiracy theory. That's happening every single day across America.
Yeah. Yeah, because how many people took out their equity from their home during the pandemic, and then
Yeah.
they refinanced, and then now that money's gone, and now it's like, yay.
And now the banks aren't lending, because why would
Mhm,
they lend you money if they can put that money in a bond that yields 7.5%, so
mhm.
with no risk? Why are they
Mhm.
going to risk it on you who's already heavily in debt? And yeah,
Yep.
this is happening in the system, which is going to resolve, I think, in two ways. And I don't want to take up too much airspace with this, but they're either going
Mhm.
to have to lower rates or let the whole thing come apart. And I think they're going to lower rates. And when they lower rates, consumers going to be confident. And again, I think that's going to create another consumer cycle of strength. I
Yes,
think.
yes. Yeah, there's seasons, right?
Yeah,
It's just
there's
a season.
seasons. There you go. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Lag says, "I've been watching the loons all day, Josh."
He's talking about us, by the way.
Good, good. Biff Boffo says, "Harry Tornado is not a product of eBay; it's a product of YouTube."
He started. He
Interesting.
started on eBay though.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
yeah, he did.
yeah. Sweet Girl says, "Yes, but Harry Tornado started selling on eBay and then made it into content. But yes, the money really came from YouTube. Same with a lot of other high sub counts. Yeah, for sure." Erica, what's going on?
Hi,
Hope you're
Erica.
doing well. Lag says, "Do you run Facebook ads on your eBay store? You should. Interesting. Do you do anything like that? I
I
don't.
don't run any ads. I don't run ads on YouTube. I don't run ads on anything at all. I'm just 100% about selling my merchandise. That's it. I don't do anything else aside from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Josh, you said, yeah, you are able to send offers to people that have heavily browsed. Oh, okay. Yeah, so people who have heavily browsed an item,
Okay.
then you're able to get that offer. Interesting. So that's good. Yolanda says the offer thing has been happening since 2022. At least in my case, it has. Okay. Here in the UK, I can tell you the international shipping program has caused no issues and is considered by the vast majority of eBay sellers a hassle-free addition to posting overseas. That's a good point of view from over there, across the pond.
Positive.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. The Gangland Legacy says, just noticed and screenshot a listing of mine today that literally on my listing photos is now a button on each photo that says find similar and is clickable and takes the user to a competitor's listing.
Yeah, that's confusing. It's a new thing. I saw that today too, where they've got it's like a watermark on your first
Mm.
photo, and
Hmm.
it says something like "click on me," and if they click on that, they'll take it to somebody else's listing. So I don't know what that's all about, but I saw that today for the first time. I can pick up the comments here, but I don't know. I think we're going to be running.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
we're good. But I was just mentioning the ability to send offers in bulk on your phone has disappeared for me,
that's a
at least.
beta test they've been doing.
Oh,
Yeah, I never
cool.
had that. I never had that ability.
Yeah, it was useful for the time that I had it, 2 weeks. Yosef says, I appreciate that, Josh, because I just had a buyer complain. I know the DVD worked fine before I sent it out. Do you block people like that? What is your blocking criteria? Do you block crazy buyers?
Yeah, I don't block people who return because there may be a legitimate reason for the return. So that some people do, but I don't. That's still a good buyer in my opinion. I block people who are annoying, who are trying to scam, who if you're sending me messages and messages and messages, and you really don't have any intent of buying the item, I'll block that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Those are usually the people I block.
Yeah.
How about you? Do you block people who return items? I don't think Bo does. I'm going to say no, that he doesn't. I don't think he's going to be able to hear my question. I want to say hi to James in the chat, my boring reseller life.
Sorry, the internet was
Yeah,
going strong for a while, but if
yeah,
the person abuses the return policy, then they'll get blocked.
yeah,
Yeah, or
yeah,
try to blackmail, like, "Hey, this is not the right item, but I'll be okay if you give me my money back, and I
yeah,
won't leave negative feedback."
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, see ya. Yeah,
But Biff Boffo says, I don't buy the pay to play theory. There is no evidence that your promoted sales would not have sold anyhow, especially if you have a deal in used goods that are unique. Interesting. Yeah. Who knows? All I know is I'm going to keep promoting. Exactly, Biff. People who sell new goods need to promote against other people selling new goods. Don't believe the hype.
This is a good
Yeah.
cross section. Like the people are angry with eBay. They're not happy. I mean, it's been going on
Mhm.
for 2 years now. They see their sales in decline. I know, Biff, and we've discussed this a few times back and forth, but
Mhm.
there's a consensus here of unhappy. I mean, when you take people's livelihood and you affect it, which eBay has, plus the macro
Mhm.
issues, but eBay can bear some of the responsibility here. People are not happy. They're upset. I did a video yesterday about people not being happy, and I woke up and I could not believe the feedback. I could not believe it. I was not expecting that. People are
Mhm.
not impressed.
Oh, not impressed, like, with being.
People are not impressed with the platform. They've been
Oh, okay.
trying to voice issues with the platform over glitches
Mhm.
and issues and dissatisfaction over the promoted listings and everything else, and not
Mhm.
making any headway at all.
Mhm. Mhm.
And there, it affects everyone's livelihood. Like you and I are talking here that this can't go on for much longer. That we need to see a
Mhm.
strong fourth quarter
Yep.
because it's not sustainable like this.
Yeah, 100%. Have you noticed that you're selling far more within a 2-state radius and very little outside of that, particularly the other coast? No, I haven't. I haven't. I've just
So
shipped a bunch of stuff to New Jersey, New York today, so not a bunch, but a couple. But yeah, I haven't noticed anything like that. Lindsay says part of it is people that are paying for what they purchased during Amazon's Prime Day last month. Yeah, I don't know. The thing is people really love to shop, and you can tell by the credit card debt. It's at an
yeah,
all-time high, 1 trillion.
vertical. Yeah.
Or 1 billion. I'm not, 1 trillion would be crazy. So, yeah, people love to shop. What's going on, James? James says I'm in the Matrix over here. Yep, we are. Here, that is. Uh, Hi, James. What's going on? Lag says, yes, another Matrix reference. Love it. Yes. Um, yeah, appreciate you coming in, James. Some good stuff, keeping people updated as to what's going on. If you guys are new to James, go sub to his channel. He'll give you the daily deal as what is going on the platform. Silver Hair Stacker says, I was a promoted listings holdout. Started promoting at a flat 5.1 on everything 22 days ago. Hey, sales are up 36%. Pretty good. Not bad. So yeah, how many people do you think went from not promoting to promoting just during this period?
most,
Yeah,
most, I think.
yeah. And Jamie says good information. Thank you. Lag says he loves shopping. Great. Sneedmeister says thinking out loud. I wonder if climates without diverse seasons experience seasonality too. Yosef says, I tell you my goals. I'm praying. Yeah, bless this. I'm workers' comp on a herniated neck. Wow. So my first goal is to sell 100K in a year and a half. My second goal is the new clothes and games and be the top seller on eBay. Good goals. Have goals. You
Yeah,
got to
go
have
for it.
goals. If you have no vision, then how do we know where we're going? We're just blindly, swaying. I'll be doing
Swing for
this.
the
I'll do that.
fences, Joseph.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Vivian says, please rethink your evaluation of B&M.
B&M. Do you know what that is?
No.
Can't. I don't know.
But it's okay. I will. I'm always I'm my you know, I grow in my belief, but I don't like change. Like there's a difference. So I'm
Yeah.
always open to learning new things. So yeah. But as far as like my philosophy on life, that won't change, but it will grow. I guess if makes sense.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't, but it's okay. FX Karate Kid says, "Do you guys pin your items to Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter?" Nope,
No.
nothing for me outside platforms. No, I
No.
let eBay do all the marketing
Yeah.
since we pay them to, anyways. In this trade, we can never stop learning. Absolutely. Um, Miko says, "What role did the pandemic play in your entrepreneurial journey? What lessons can you look back and take from that strange market going forward?" I wasn't on eBay during 2020. So what did you experience? Did you see a good uptick during that time?
Um. Well, I think I answered this question earlier, but I'll answer it again. My corporate life was me working 100 hours a week and driving back and forth. And as the pandemic progressed, we were losing people that were afraid and they didn't want to come into work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I could feel my personal life coming apart. And the pandemic really forced me to reevaluate what was important and what I needed to focus on moving forward. So
Mhm.
that's how the pandemic changed for me, is that once I had had enough and I decided to walk away from my corporate job, that I'm not doing this anymore and I'm going to take
Mhm.
the risk and go full time. It forced me to, I'm spending now more time with my kids and I'm reevaluating what's important. What are the things that I value? So that was a big change for me as far as the pandemic is concerned. Bo's back in the
Okay.
matrix.
Yeah,
There.
I'm back in the matrix. So if just I don't want to take up your whole day, but it was a great engagement. I appreciate y'all. And what's going on, Jake? Good to see you, brother.
J Ride.
Yeah, J Ride, putting out some great content. Guys should go subscribe to J Ride. Leaving with these words of encouragement, where would you say, just if you're a beginner reseller, you just want to get started and you just don't know because you're hearing all this stuff about eBay. What would you say, like, to encourage people to like not have maybe so much fear? Would you suggest them doing?
Consume as much information you can about your niche,
Mm-hmm.
content online. Consume as much as you can. Trust but verify. Trust what people are saying, but verify it for yourself. If like Jay Wright had a comment here, I saw it came up. He said he's not experiencing any problems. So perfect. He can trust
Mm-hmm.
what we say, that we're having these issues, but that is not verified within his account. So trust but verify,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, and then just be open, like Bo says, to learning, to really trying to understand, to find things that work and things that don't, and that I think will reward you in spades moving forward.
100%. Yeah. Never have a set mindset, because the world's constantly in a state of change. And,
Yes.
I think that just if we all work together, and yeah, we are like competitors because we all sell on eBay, but at the same time, I think that we can all learn from each other. And, my whole thing is I'm not going to be ride or die on eBay. I want to build multiple businesses, whether in real estate or doing other ventures. So it's not like, hey, if I get a decrease in sales on eBay, that's okay because I
Yeah.
started this other project,
Yeah.
and nothing is forever. How many businesses that existed 100 years ago exist today? Not a lot.
Not a lot.
So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
important to just know that there's seasons to all things. And if you guys are like discouraged about what you're experiencing, it's okay. It's just a season.
Yeah.
So, what I did is I pinned your YouTube channel in the description below. Go check
Appreciate it.
out Josh's channel. He puts out content almost every day, conversations just like this, deep ones that can help you guys gain a better understanding as the landscape of what's going on in the economy, eBay,
Appreciate
business,
that. Thank you
banking.
for the shout out.
I learned so much from this guy, and he said he is not a teacher. Well, it's very humble because I
Appreciate
learned a
that.
lot
Thank you.
from you. I've been putting on your lives while I'm doing my shipping, and I learned great things.
Appreciate that.
So I
Thank you.
wanted to have you on, and I'd love to do it again in the future, maybe a condensed down version,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you got a good experience in business and a good background in that. So,
Appreciate you taking the time, Bo. I do. I appreciate you having me on.
yeah,
It's been a blast.
awesome, man. Yeah. So check out his channel down below, and appreciate you guys. If you're catching us on the replay and you have questions, drop them in the comments. I will get to them in the next video. But I hope you all have a blessed weekend and take care.
Bye bye.
See ya. Bye bye.